By the time the mansion was fully completed, it had become more than just a house. It was now a symbol of wealth, authority, and power across the entire region. People traveled from distant towns just to see it. Newspapers printed sketches of its tall pillars and wide balconies. Visitors compared it to royal homes in Europe. Politicians held meetings inside its halls. Businessmen made deals under its chandeliers. The mansion had become a stage where powerful men displayed their status. And yet, the man who had created this stage remained invisible. Elijah had now spent nearly 15 years working on the mansion and related buildings. His youth had been consumed by construction. His hands were permanently scarred. His back was bent. His hair had begun to turn gray before his time. But his mind was sharper than ever. He understood structures better than most trained engineers. He could sense weakness in walls just by touching them. He could hear imbalance in floors by walking across them. The mansion was not just something he built. It was something he understood deeply, like a living body. Visitors often asked Carter technical questions. They wanted to know how the foundation was protected from floods. They wanted to know why the building stayed cool in summer. They wanted to know how such large rooms could stand without visible support. Carter smiled confidently and answered with rehearsed words. Sometimes he repeated things Elijah had once explained to him in private. Other times he invented stories about foreign architects. No one challenged him. Elijah was usually nearby during these tours, pretending to clean or repair something. He listened quietly as his own ideas were spoken by another man. At first this hurt deeply. It felt like his identity was being stolen again and again. But over time he developed emotional strength. He stopped seeking recognition from people who refused to see him. Instead, Elijah turned his attention toward something greater. Passing on his knowledge, he understood that slavery tried not only to control bodies, but also to erase intelligence. If his skills died with him, the system would win. So he decided that his greatest legacy would not be the mansion. It would be the minds he trained. At night, in hidden corners of the plantation, Elijah gathered small groups of young slaves. He spoke softly. He used sticks to draw diagrams in the dirt. He showed them how to calculate distance using footsteps. He explained how weight worked using stones and wood. He taught them how to think like builders, not just workers. He also taught them discipline, patience, and caution. He warned them never to display too much intelligence in front of masters. Let them think you are weak, he said. That is how you survive. These lessons were painful, but necessary among his students. Samuel grew into his most promising learner. By now, Samuel was a young man with quick hands and sharp eyes. He could design simple structures on his own. Elijah often imagined that Samuel might one day be free and use these skills openly. Meanwhile, Elijah's reputation spread quietly among craftsmen and workers. Hired builders who came for repairs or expansions soon realized who truly understood the mansion. When something broke, Elijah fixed it. When something cracked, Elijah reinforced it. When something leaked, Elijah solved it. Some of these craftsmen respected him deeply. In private, they called him master. In public, they pretended he did not exist. They were afraid of losing their own status. One traveling engineer once spent several days examining the mansion. He became suspicious. The techniques used were too advanced for someone like Carter. One evening, when no one was watching, he approached Elijah and asked him direct questions. Elijah answered carefully but truthfully. The engineer realized that he was standing in front of a genius. Before leaving, the engineer whispered, "You are the real architect." It was the first time in Elijah's life that someone had said those words to him openly. He never forgot it. However, Carter also began to sense something. He noticed that workers relied on Elijah more than on him. He noticed that visitors asked Elijah questions. He noticed the quiet respect around him. This made Carter uncomfortable. His power depended on control, and Elijah's growing influence threatened that. So Carter increased surveillance. He ordered guards to watch Elijah more closely. He restricted his movements. He limited his interactions. He tried to isolate him. But even under pressure, Elijah remained calm. Then came the storm. One summer night, dark clouds covered the sky. Winds howled like wild animals. Rain fell in sheets. A massive hurricane struck the region. Trees were uprooted. Rivers overflowed. Houses collapsed. Barns were destroyed. Entire villages suffered. On Carter's plantation, panic spread. Workers ran for shelter. Buildings shook. Roofs flew away. But the mansion stood firm. Rainwater flowed perfectly through Elijah's drainage systems. Winds passed over reinforced roofs. Foundations resisted flooding. Not a single major wall cracked. Not a single pillar fell. When morning arrived, the mansion stood like a fortress among ruins. Engineers later inspected it and were shocked. They admitted that its design was far superior to most structures of that time. They wrote reports praising its strength. Carter accepted the praise with pride. But privately he was shaken. He knew the truth. Without Elijah, everything would have been destroyed. From that day forward, Carter's behavior changed. He became more cautious around Elijah. He feared losing him. He feared that others might recognize his value. He feared rebellion, so he tried to keep Elijah dependent. He denied him any privileges. He refused him lighter work. He rejected all suggestions of promotion. He kept him trapped. Elijah noticed this change. He realized that Carter saw him not as a man, but as a valuable machine. This realization was painful, yet it also gave him clarity. He understood that he must protect himself and his students. He became more careful with secret lessons. He limited group sizes. He changed locations. He used coded language. He trained Samuel to teach others quietly. Slowly, a hidden network of skilled builders grew within the plantation. They repaired homes. They reinforced cabins. They improved tools. They helped families survive storms and winters. They were invisible heroes. At the same time, Elijah began keeping mental records of everything he had built. He memorized designs. He stored techniques in his mind. He feared that written notes could be discovered. So he became his own living library. He told himself, "If I ever become free, this knowledge will build my future." Years passed. The mansion continued to shine. Carter continued to enjoy fame, and Elijah continued to live in shadows. But inside those shadows, something powerful was growing. Hope, not weak hope. Not foolish hope, but patient, intelligent, unstoppable hope. He believed that history could not lie forever. That truth could not remain buried forever. That one day the walls would speak his name, and that day was slowly approaching.